Just make them shoot over me. At the end of the day, you may get a good shot. If you're not, I don't know. It's just I've been like that my whole life. I mean, they try to back me down. It's just I got to make them shoot over me. It's tough. My teammates have my back. That's just they make some, they miss some.
You know, I just thought there wasn't an area where we were playing better than the opponent, you know, and that's why, like, late in the game, we played a bunch of different people. You know, I went with Phil even though he hadn't played at all because I felt like we had to have somebody that could really handle it because they were running and jumping and trapping and doing all those types of things. And he made a couple of nice plays there in that short little stint. But you know, that's what they do well.
In a crucial playoff chase game, the Celtics fall short. They lose 110-101 to the Milwaukee Bucks. We're going to break it down and more with our Celtics blog brethren, Kevin O'Connor,
this guy,
also of Collective.com, here on the Garden Report on CLNS Radio and Celtics blog. I'm Jared Weiss. I'm your host here. I'm joined by Jimmy Toscano as usual.
Yeah.
And for the first time, we've been waiting forever to do this. Our boy from Celtics blog, Kevin O'Connor. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks.
All right.
Now,
let's do this.
If you're watching this on Celtics blog, you obviously have seen Kevin O'Connor's work before.
We're paying him by the minute, so let's speed this up.
Okay, we'll do this really fast. So,
it's the only way he'll do it.
2-minute show here. So we're going to talk about first off the fourth quarter, and I guess a late third quarter too. You got to include that when you're talking about this game. So the Celtics, they make a big run late in the third, going into the fourth. Isaiah Thomas, Jonas Jerebko really keying those runs there, and then they switch to the 2-3 zone, and things got a little bit weird there. So they stopped Milwaukee's just incessant dribble penetration. MCW, Giannis, guys you don't expect to make the shots, they start making the shots. They go with this lineup that they're solid defensively. Jimmy, we'll start with you, but offensively was an absolute disaster. And
the Celtics lineup?
I mean, they shot pretty well in the fourth quarter, but they couldn't really get shots off to start with for the most part.
No, and I was staring at the lineup like, what's going on? I'm looking at the bench. I'm like, it's a double take. Bass is on the bench.
Came in.
Yeah, Bass is on the bench. Bradley's on the bench. Turner's on the bench. Thomas is on the bench. They need to score here. They're down 10 or whatever it is. And I understand what Brad Stevens was thinking. He's trying to get something out of these guys. I mean, listen, those players were in there in the third quarter, and they did absolutely nothing on offense. So I understand the switch, and he went with Pressey. Look, he went with Sullinger in the third quarter because he was reaching for something so much. Eventually he called the timeout midway through the fourth quarter, and he got those guys back there on offense.
Got the offensive system of Bradley, Turner.
Exactly. But, yeah, to answer your question, it was a strange lineup there for a while.
Felt like Brad was throwing darts, as he said a couple times this year. Put Gigi out there for about an 8-minute stretch. Put Sullinger out there for 3 minutes, and that did not go well. And defensively, they could not stop anything. Isaiah Thomas is getting posted up.
Yeah, all game.
And it seemed like everything they ran through Isaiah Thomas, whether it was a pick and roll, post-ups, they just kept going at him. And it's not like you can take Isaiah Thomas out because he's so good offensively. He's your best scorer on the team.
And he got his shots at the line. I mean, he was really crucial in the third quarter.
He had his best game. Did I just cut you off?
No, that's fine.
He had his best game since he's returned from his injury. I mean, 23 points, 7 of 12 shooting. I mean, he hasn't hit more than 4 field goals since in any of the 5 games coming into this one. I think he was shooting 25% roughly from the field going into this game. So and that was like the lone bright spot I could take out of this game, was that he looked more like himself than he has in the last 5 games leading up to it.
You know, the thing was especially later in the fourth quarter, they get the good scores back in there. Chris Middleton and MCW decided we're just going to really embarrass Isaiah Thomas as much as possible, Kevin. Yeah. Because you had MCW kind of earlier in the second half. He was backing Thomas all the way down. MCW couldn't really convert on those plays because he's MCW, but he at least was exposing how easy it was to kind of take advantage of Isaiah Thomas. But you saw in the fourth quarter, Chris Middleton was huge late in the game. He got Isaiah Thomas a few times on him. Just drilled shots right over him as if he wasn't even there.
Yeah, Chris Middleton hit 2 big shots, contested, hand in his face. I think one of them was on the baseline.
And his chest, I would say, more so.
Yeah. Isaiah Thomas mentioned when he's getting backed down by a larger player, make him shoot over me. But he did that. Middleton still hit the shot. It's just one of those nights where they're just a step ahead, and they're hitting contested shots, and it just doesn't work out.
There's nothing you can do when a guy like MCW is hitting 3-pointers. If you're Stevens wants them to take those shots.
Especially MCW.
Yeah, he's fine with that happening. So when they hit those shots, I mean, there's nothing really you can do about it. And I know where Isaiah Thomas is coming from, a fellow undersized guard out there on the court. I know that you can't let them back you down all the way to the paint because they'll try to. So you gotta force them to take the shot, and a lot of times it'll go in.
You should have told him that before the game because apparently he didn't know
some pointers.
that.
I wish I knew.
I'm sure Isaiah would get most of his coaching from you. So,
right.
Just before we wrap up part 1 here, Jonas Jerebko's foul or non-foul call there. MCW took a swipe at him. I thought his response was pretty hilarious there. It sounds like you were a little upset about that.
I literally can't. You go.
Yeah, I'll just describe Jimmy in the locker room. Went up to Jonas afterwards and says, "I'll say it for you. That was the worst call I have ever seen."
It was the worst non-call I have ever seen. How do you miss that call? I mean, it's by the book, a hack on an arm. It
literally hit him in the head from the replay I saw.
I think he just nailed him right in the eye. I'm pretty sure he was right on.
I think it was right here.
The exact. Yeah. Look up the rule, and it'll be the video of that play, except there's not a foul call. I don't understand it. The referee was following the play. He had a perfect view of the shot. I don't know. I'm baffled.
I think elbow's part of the ball on that play.
Yeah, I mean that's a foul in the NFL. That's a foul. I mean that was.
They should have called a 15-yard penalty.
It was pass interference.
They could take the shot from the half court.
It was bizarre, and honestly, all jokes aside, that was kind of a turning point because that would have put Jerebko at the line with a chance to get it to 5 points. Instead, it was an out-of-bounds call. The Celtics didn't score on the play. The Bucks scored on the way back, and that was it. The Celtics never got it close after that. So we can joke about it all we want, but that actually was a serious point in the game, and the refs screwed it up. And I think, and I know that people are going to say, what the hell are you talking about? The game's already slow enough. But in that situation where it's a blatant mess up of a call, there should be some sort of review process, and there isn't. So that's just bad.
Especially if it's the playoffs. Imagine that call.
Can you imagine if that's conspiracy theorists for the rest of your life are going to be talking about that if that's a playoff game.
No, just that one itself, I think they'll be talking about forever.
Yes,
the
I will be. I know I will be.
Foul Jonas Jerebko.
I'm never going to forget it. We're all witness history tonight. The worst non-call in the history of basketball.
You should save this Garden Report in your treasured folder with all your photos of your kids and all that stuff, because this is a very important turning point in all of our lives. So we're going to come back for part 2 here. Before we go, download the Reached app. You can go to the link in our description here, CLNS Radio's edition of, or I guess our section in the Reached app here. You can take the latest poll. Obviously, it's Jared Sullinger related because that's all we talk about, except for in the first part of the show. So when we come back for part 2, we're going to talk about that. The Garden Report is brought to you by Audible.com. We're also sponsored by Lynda.com. Also sponsored by Peak Organic Brewing, and of course,
a lot of sponsors.
The poll app. We have a lot of sponsors.
A lot of people want in on this
3
show.
minutes worth.
Yeah.
We're gonna make that money. So we'll be back for part 2 on the Garden Report on CLNS Radio and Celtics Blog.
It's amazing, just his name being part of it. I'm truly blessed, and I'm very thankful for my teammates and the coaches, everybody. It's an honor for me to win that award, and I'm just very thankful, honestly.
Feel like you got fun. I don't want to get you in trouble or anything, but I saw you go and talk to the ref after the game. What did you say to him? I'm sure.
We all make mistakes, so it's not a big deal. Not really. Got no comment.